Mr. Bowker.
Mr. Toastmaster, it's not easy to tell you how to win the international speech competition, but I do want to open by saying that history has shown that younger Toastmasters do better. And people who have won the World Championship of Public Speaking have sometimes been members for only 2 or 3 years. That doesn't prevent a member who's been a member of Toastmasters for 20 years from taking part. But youth has the advantage. Let's look at how you go about preparing a winning speech. The winner this year was a lady called Ramona Smith, and she used boxing as her analogy in her speech. She said that she compared herself in her speech to being a boxer and being knocked down. She was knocked down by a failed marriage. She was knocked down by having lost in the previous competition. She was knocked down through having faced pain and adversity. And she asked the rhetorical questions, and this seems to be popular at the moment, to ask rhetorical questions and then use them as pauses. I don't know, do you understand that? Pause. The person who came second, she also finished incidentally by saying, I am still standing, having made the boxing analogy. The person who came second spoke on a similar theme. She spoke about her relations with her parents, which wasn't happy. She spoke about the fear of close relationships, so she married very late in life. She spoke of things that threatened her. And what she also said is, what scares me now may bring the most beautiful thing. Give it a chance. Then the person who came third was also a person who shared with the audience the pains of her life. The pain of a divorce, the pain of being fired from a very prominent job and a big company, the pain of the support that she didn't get from her mother, but the strength that she got from her father. And the audience who spoke to her afterwards told her that the power of her speech was they spoke directly to them. Your speech must be directly to them. What are the common elements of the speech? Well, what I'm trying to do is to give you some idea about the content of your speech for the coming competition. The common elements, incidentally, all 3 were women. Now that you can't change. The common element that they used were all people who spoke about emotional distress, overcoming it, and their recovery from that emotional distress. And the person who won the District 74 competition last year had a similar theme. How bad life and how unkind life had been to him, and how he overcame those problems. So what you need to do in your speech is to look at your relationships. Where are the relationships that have been unhappy? Where has your schooling been unhappy? Where has your adulthood been unhappy? Where has your career been unhappy? And come and tell us all the heartaches and the hardships that you have had to face, but how you overcame. Remember not to make any reference to sex, religion, politics, or race, because then you will cut your own throat in any competition. Remember too that you do not have to tell the truth. You do not have to tell the truth. You can create a story. And if I open my speech for the competition by saying, last night at 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard some heavy breathing outside my window. Now I've captured your attention. The fact that it's not true makes no difference. At 2 o'clock in the morning, the only heavy breathing I hear is my own. Right, now I also want to give you some other advice that I found useful by writing a speech. You cannot say on a Saturday morning, I'm going to sit down and write a speech. Sit down at your computer and start to write a speech. 3 hours later, you'll think, oh, I'm making good progress. And when you look at it on Sunday morning, you say, I've never read so much drivel in my life. You cannot sit down and write a speech. The speech has to grow in your head and it has to mature in your head. I also don't give my speech a title until it's finished. And then I find a title, because my title will have nothing to do with what I started. One of the things that I do is I keep a pen in my pocket and a piece of paper. And I find that my brain has creative moments and non-creative moments. And my brain is very creative for some obscure reason, early in the morning and while I'm shaving. I'm an absolute genius when I'm shaving. At 5:30 in the afternoon, my brain is in total shutdown. I cannot think of an original idea. So try and find out where your brain is in creative mode and use those times. Go back to my piece of paper in my pocket. I'm sitting at the traffic lights and I suddenly think, yeah, that's a good idea for my speech. Then I learned that when I got home and I said, now what was that idea I had? And I can't remember. So with my piece of paper and my pen, sitting at the traffic light, I thought, that's a good idea for my speech. I take my piece of paper and I quickly scribble a little note that will make sense to me when I get home. And when I finish writing the note, there are 5 or 6 cars behind me hooting, put the piece of paper back in my pocket. Then I'm standing in the queue at Spa, and I see a lady who bears a definite resemblance to a walrus. And I think to myself, I must put something like that in my speech. I take my piece of paper, I make a note. So I land up with hundreds of little scribbled notes. And when I look at them, I can put them together into a speech. They're not always logical. They're not always in a sequence. But if I put them into a sequence, I can start to make the speech out of it. So I use those moments to create those ideas. I also do a certain amount of stealing. Nothing wrong with stealing. You don't have to tell the truth, and it doesn't matter if you steal. I'm going to write a speech about being bankrupt. Now that is the truth. At the moment, I am bankrupt. But I'm going to write a speech about being bankrupt. So when I'm socializing with my friends, I would say, Peter, what would you do if you woke up tomorrow and you realized you were bankrupt? Then Peter will tell me something. I know, that's a good idea. And I steal that idea. In my humorous speech, which I won at national level, about winning the lotto, those were my ideas. I stole a whole lot of them. I said to Gene Scarborough, what would you do if you won 7 million rand in the lotto? And Gene Scarborough said to me, I wouldn't even go and see the bank manager. I'd tell him to come and see me in my home and install an auto bank in my entrance hall. I said, well, that's a good idea. I put it in my speech and pass it as my own. So steal ideas, plant little seeds and see what people do to them, and then use those ideas to put them into your speech. So you've stolen material and you're not telling the truth. Nothing wrong with those two things. Why don't you take one of these and just pass it around? Right, I'm giving out to you now a copy of the judging form as I see it. And let's have a look at this document. You'll see that 20%, 50% is for the content of your speech. If you look at that column. Speech development, structure, opening, body, close, organization, that must go in a logical sequence. Support material. What is support material? Support material is putting in a quotation or using a prop. Don't use too many props and don't use too many quotations. And I was taught at school by my English teacher that if I want to put a quotation in my essay and I couldn't think of an appropriate quotation, then Mr. Rose said to us, Make one up. And I've done that. I just make up a quotation. And I have to acknowledge where it came from. So I say it comes from an Austrian academic by the name of Herr Wintergart, which of course is not. But nobody's going to check on that. So not only are you stealing, but you're not plagiarizing, you're making up your own quotes. Don't quote Churchill and don't quote Shakespeare, because you'll get caught out. So that's support material. Effectiveness, have you achieved your purpose? Have you told people how tough life is? Your failed marriage, your bankruptcy, your being fired from your job, and how you overcame these things. Hell, we love winners. And how you overcame these things, and how triumphant you are today. The effectiveness, the interest, and the reception. Reception is easy to read when your audience start falling asleep. Then you need to perhaps go up a gear. Speech value, your ideas, your logic, and your originality. Gentlemen, study this judging sheet. Because if your speech has no originality, and the judge has to give you 15 points in that area, and you've got no originality, you're going to get naught. And if you get naught out of 15 for one section, you're not going to win that competition. So now you've got your speech ready, check it against the judging list and make sure that you've got each one of these. Last one, physical, your appearance. I've always argued, and I'm getting out of date with it, I've always argued that you should be neat, tidy, your shoes should be clean, you should be well dressed, you should have a modest coloured shirt on, and a very modest tie, so that you look respectable. People have won the competition in America by coming in jeans and cowboy boots, but you don't really want to try it. Body language, have you used body language? When you practice your speech, have you used body language? Successfully and appropriately, and not in excess. The next thing you need to do is your speaking area. This is particularly for Mr. Rose. Speaking area. You've got to move in your speaking area. You can't stand in one place. So you say something here, you get to a theme, now you get to the next paragraph. And you move here and you ask your next rhetorical question. I don't know whether you understand. When you ask rhetorical questions, you have a pause, you just hope nobody answers you. Move back to somewhere else. So you use the speaking area. Your voice, flexibility, and volume. Your manner, your directness. You've got to speak directly to people. You can't speak over their heads. You've got to speak directly to people so they understand that I'm talking to you and I'm asking you something and I'm hoping that you're listening. So I'm speaking directly. So we want directness, we want enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is very infectious, and you want assurance. To be assured that your audience are with you. Appropriateness, is your speech appropriate to its purpose, and is it appropriate to the audience? Don't go to the United States and talk about the blue bulls, because it's totally inappropriate to that audience. In fact, when you talk in the United States, I don't know what is appropriate to the Americans. Correctness, word selection. I always thought it's a good idea to put in a couple of fancy words, just to impress people. Find a couple of words in the thesaurus, which are about 4 syllables long, and just drop them in, inconsequential.
With eloquence.
Let it sink in and so you think, hell, that's a nice word. Right? So you use your word selection, only 10 points, but it counts. Go to the venue, get to your venue in good time, make sure that you have sussed the place out, add a quotation, as I've already said, and add some humor. People like to laugh, and you like to add some humor. Now I've written a speech. I've started my prepared speech. And here is my prepared speech, which I've still got in draft form. I don't play poker or blackjack. I'm trying to grip your attention. As a child, I avoided close snap and old maid. Why do I avoid Bowker? When the Almighty created me, He gave me an IQ of 100. That's only average. He gave me 25% physical ability. So I played for the under 14C, the under 15D, and the 5th 11 at school. I became a teacher, not a millionaire. It took me some time to find a woman who wanted to take up the challenge of being my wife. Then I met someone who had studied Robert Louis Stevenson, and she told me one of his quotations was, "Lastly, the golden rule is that no woman should marry a teetotaler or a man who does not smoke." And I fitted that bill perfectly. Now, my time is catching up with me. I'm going to go on in my speech, and I'm going to say how miserable my life's been. I'm not a millionaire, I didn't do this, I didn't achieve that, everybody's better than me, and so on. Then I went to Fountains one day, and I sat on a bench with an old tramp. And I told the tramp how sad and miserable my life had been. Now my Tory story is going to change. The tramp turned around and he said to me, "Sir, you need to wake up. You need to wake up. There's nothing wrong with you. Look at the queue of people in front of you. Millionaires, wealthy, famous, happy marriages, and all those other things. But sir, turn around and look at the people behind you. That man's got cancer, he's got 3 months to live. That guy's just been divorced by his 3rd wife. That guy's blind. That guy hasn't got a job and is not going to have one for the next 3 years. That next guy has only got 1 leg. That next guy, don't say this, votes for the DA. So, don't put that in. And that is going to be the theme of my speech. Don't look in front of you and envy all those people in front of you. Turn around and look at the 80% of the population who are worse off than you are. And it's probably more than 80%. And then finish by saying, hell, I'm doing all right. This is Toastmasters.